time for us to turn our attention to our TV picks. Sue Murphy is here with us. Sue, good morning to you.
Hi, how are you?
So every week we're getting people to talk about stuff that you should be watching this week, some stuff that you should go back and watch, and updates on what everybody here is watching. Where are we starting, Sue? What to watch?
I'm going to start with News of the World. So this is the new Netflix film. It's a Universal Pictures actually, but it's starring Tom Hanks, and it's a Paul Greengrass film. I think anyone who's into Paul Greengrass will be kind of a bit astonished by this, because he directed the Bourne films, directed Captain Phillips. He's usually an action movie director. He really likes long tracking shots that go on for a long time. And there's some of them in this, but there's certainly not the level of action that you would have seen. He's excellent at tension. And there's a couple of moments in this film where you're like, I actually had to secretly fast forward a tiny bit of it because I was so tense. There's a very good shootout scene at the start, and it kind of revolves around Tom Hanks, who goes from town to town reading the news to people just after the American Civil War. And he comes across this little girl who is basically being orphaned twice over. And he decides he's going to take her home. And it's a very Western, slow-moving type of film, but I actually really enjoyed it. It's just a nice film. It's not something that's good. Like, I'm really shocked by some of the reviews that are talking about how amazing it is. I don't think it's life-altering, but I think it's something that Tom Hanks probably wanted to do. He wanted to do a Western. And I think it's probably something that Paul Greengrass is like, great, if I could do a Western, I get the greatest actor in the world. And the girl in it, her name is Helena Zengel. She is brilliant, because a lot of the film she can't actually speak. She speaks in Native Indian. She speaks in German, Cyclips German, because that's the two families that she's been orphaned by. So their relationship is all through signs and actions, and him trying to explain to her about where he's bringing her. And it's emotional. I think a lot of people are like this, but not as life-changing as I was expecting it to be.
Okay, so decent, worth a watch.
Decent. Definitely worth a watch. And I have to say, like, some of the shots of it, you know, when you watch like a Western, you're like, why would anyone want to live out there in the middle of nowhere? A lot of these shots are so beautiful. You're like, oh, that is absolutely stunning. Like, his tracking shots and the camera work is just beautiful. But definitely worth a watch, but not as brilliant as I was expecting it to be.
I think that the last thing anybody wants at the moment is to watch something that actually resembles our current environment, like the escapism that comes with actually being shown a Western, or something that takes us to somewhere that's not our current locality, is actually really important, and living vicariously through whatever people are doing in film. So the further away from home, the better, basically.
Yeah, and I'm always amazed at the challenges that filmmakers are kind of getting over at the moment with, you know, smaller casts and smaller budgets and editing processes that are taking so long because of restrictions. Like, it's like we were talking about Malcolm and Marie last week, that was fully made in lockdown. Like, it's amazing what they're doing. But yeah, you're totally right. It's escapist, totally escapist.
I did see somebody giving out Old Man Shouting a Cloud about the bickering in Malcolm and Marie. I was like, yep, not watching that. No, thanks. No.
There's a brilliant video going around actually of a guy who's pretended to be their neighbour. And he's like looking out, and he's just like, oh my God, they're still arguing. He's still out in the backyard, and he's still shouting at her. What is going on? It's very, very funny.
To be honest, right, I turned on the news round last night, and the lads were talking about Jordan Spieth. I went inside, talked to my kids for about 10 minutes, watched a bit of After School Hub, came back in, and they were still banging on about Jordan Spieth. And I was like, these two, this is Joe and Nathan, these two.
Oh, yeah.
These two are essentially that Netflix program, except instead of arguing, they just sing these love songs to each other about Jordan Spieth. And I was like, they're still talking about it.
I think that's the way they've been for years, but you're totally right.
On the radio. Get a podcast, lads. Get a podcast. That was
They have one.
Wow.
We stupidly gave them one.
Firefly Lane is next.
Oh, this is pure crap. I can't. I feel like I needed to tell you about this because it's become some sort of a weird addiction. It's so bad, but yet so addictive.
What is it?
And it's pure crap. It's 10 episodes. It's kind of based on a book about two best friends and their relationship over about 30 years. And it starts when they're 14. And the first episode is pretty sad because one of them suffers a horrendous sexual attack. And then they kind of had this bond because of it, because she tells the other girl about it and they didn't never tell anyone about it again. And over 30 years, that kind of has been the formation of their relationship and everything that's happened afterwards. But Tully is played by Katherine Heigl, and then her friend is Kate, and she's played by Sarah Chalk, who is from Scrubs. And they've really managed to make Sarah Chalk look absolutely awful. Like she's so stressed being a mother and being at home, and you were the main love interest in Scrubs. But anyway, it's just there's a bombshell at the end of the second episode that I didn't see coming at all, and then I just couldn't stop watching it. But it's real bubblegum. Like there's nothing brilliant happening in it. They just keep like giving you crumbs, and then you're like, okay, I'll have to go along with this. And I just like every person I've spoke to knows what it is, and is what like Tommy Rooney is watching this. Like it's exceptionally bad in a lot of ways, but really like I feel like I needed to tell you because I feel like it's a really bad addiction that I need to get over. But I guarantee you a lot of people are watching this.
Are you saying don't watch it, stay away from it? It's like don't take up smoking. There's going to be a little bit of a head rush the first time you have a cigarette every day, but it's really bad for you in the long run.
It's really bad for you in the long run. And they've put it like front and center. It's trending #1 in Ireland on Netflix, right? And they put it in front and center whenever you log into Netflix. So you're like, okay, look, sure, like I have a look if it's trending #1. And then you're like, I can't stop. Please take this away from me. It's like, it's not great.
Are we all 100% convinced that the algorithm is actually what's trending as opposed to what they want to push on us? Are we?
Yeah.
Is that certified by, the Stokes Kennedy Crowley have a man sitting there going, yeah, 01, 00, oh, hang on a second. What?
They're very clever. It's very clever because it gets me every time. Because as well as that, when you come onto these slots and you talk about TV, you kind of want to know what other people are watching. So if you see something that says #1 in Ireland, you're like, oh, I'm going to have to watch that because obviously a lot of people are watching that. And then it's just a really bad, like I feel like I need some sort of counselling after every episode. I'm like, this is so bad, why can't I stop?
Bad in bad TV or bad and hard to watch?
It's just, like bad TV is even a stretch. It's just not great.
Okay.
Like it's not hard to watch. It's real bubblegum. It's real escapism. And I think a lot of people will like it because, there is actually like a couple of lines in it. Like one of the lines that she says to Kate's daughter is, don't speak about her like that. She was kind of 14 and nobody's kind of 14. And I was like, oh, that's actually kind of a nice line. And then you're on to the next scene, you're like, oh, we're back to the rubbish again. So there is some nice like flash moments. But I just feel like a lot of people are going to be watching this going, why can't I stop? Okay, stop
is the just stop. Go back and watch. You want to recommend Fleabag, which is currently, I think, on RTE television at the moment as well.
Obsessed. Like I watched Fleabag. I didn't actually watch it the first time it was on BBC. I watched it on Prime just before it got released on RTE. It's on RTE now and on the RTE player. But the first episode, I didn't like her. I didn't like her at all. And so she breaks the fourth wall and she speaks to the audience. And she's kind of trying to be really funny and kind of mischievous. And, but you can tell something else going on in the background. But she is heartbroken, is the real story. And it's beautifully written. It's like Phoebe Waller-Bridge, you never get her character name is Fleabag. You never get her actual name. And it's her relationship with her sister, her relationship with her best friend who has passed away, that's not giving anything away, that's given away in the first episode. And it really is like punch you in the stomach at moment, brilliant. And then really, really funny at other parts. Like there's times when I watch Fleabag and I'm like, oh my God, I think if she was my sister, if I had her in my life, I would go absolutely demented because she's just a wild card. She just goes off and does all these things and says what she thinks all the time. But at the same time, the acting, like Olivia Colman, I made Owen watch this last night and he loved the first episode. Like it's just such good TV.
So good. And like I think that the more successful Olivia Colman has become, the better all her previous roles have gotten, in my view. I was saying to Sue yesterday, I want to do a special on Number Wang and Olivia Colman being a contestant on Number Wang in the Mitchell and Webb look, because that's just that's better than her Oscar. That's better than Queen Elizabeth II. That is her crowning glory, pardon the pun, in my opinion, of her entire career. But it's on RTE player at the moment. Fleabag, so good.
Grand, it's so grand. Good. I'm not on board the Fleabag train. It's grand. We started it, couldn't watch 3 or 4 episodes, have not gone back. Might go back at some point, give it another go. But like, I did not see the mass hysteria that there was about Fleabag being the greatest thing that's ever happened. It was grand. It was like passable.
Nobody's saying it's the best thing that's ever happened. Like,
Oh, they are. Oh, and they are. You go back and you check the hype around Fleabag. It was like literally, this is life-changing TV. This is TV-changing TV that's happening. And I think a lot of the stuff that comes out of London is like, oh my God, The Guardian has anointed this thing as the greatest thing ever. You must watch it. And then you watch and you go, I mean, I could say the Emperor has no clothes here, but then I would look like a Luddite in front of all the Guardianistas. And so, people don't say it.
It's
no,
very,
but
very
I
good.
felt that.
It's
No,
very
it is very good.
Okay, you guys
no,
like
but
it.
I felt that way about it as well because she really annoyed me when I got to the end of the first episode. I was like, I can't watch her anymore. That is awful. And then by the time because it's 2 series and that's it, she's never going to do anything again with this character. By the time you get to the end of that last episode, you're like, oh God, that is
I will reserve judgment. So far, I think it's grand, and I wouldn't blame anybody for dropping out. But you guys say, stick with it. Someone's watched one episode. Is obviously clearly easily led. We've been told no spoilers, please, about It's a Sin. It's only new. People haven't caught up yet, which is fair enough. No spoilers. Look. It's called It's a Sin. It's about the AIDS crisis in the 80s and 90s. And so, just prepare yourself for trauma and tragedy. And you should be prepared for trauma and tragedy because it's an awful time in human history. And yet this TV, I found that absolutely brilliant TV.
Brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And I texted Owen about that. Like, me and Owen just seemed to talk about TV and nothing else. But yeah, I texted Owen last night. They watched the last episode and said I actually just need counselling after that. But the one thing I did say was I turned around to my husband and said that is a really special programme. It is so well written. The characters are just so lovely and heartwarming and adorable. And you have this lovely heartwarming thing that's happening on one side and then the absolute tragedy on the other. And it's just really that last episode absolutely killed me. And I'm not giving anything away about the last episode, but there is an amazing tracking shot with Keely Hawes when she's walking from room to room in a hospital that is absolutely exceptional. She's such a good actress. I just loved it. Just loved this entire series.
For people who haven't seen it, the character Colin has become like an international sensation, and everybody he's more beloved than Connell was in Normal People last year. He is the 2021 version of that. So everybody around the world will just fall at this guy's altar. I mean, this is the main character in this, and it's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. 5 episodes, so watchable. And also, I'd never seen Ollie Alexander in anything as an actor. And he's pretty good. I know it was his first love, wasn't it? But I would certainly came to him as a musician first before being an actor, and he's a bloody good actor. So possibly the most talented 30-year-old in the UK at the moment.
Yeah, the cast for this is just. Do you know what was really disappointing about it? I found out afterwards that they wrote more than 5 episodes for this. I think it was originally done as 8 or something, and then they brought it down. And I was like, no, those characters are just so well written. You would easily spend more time with them.
Yeah, they definitely, they definitely ellipsed out a couple of years. I would have been happy to spend more time with them. But look, maybe that's the mark of a good quality stuff. Michael O'Brien says, good morning, guys. I have a TV recommendation for you. The Deuce. David Simon is an absolute hidden gem. Set in 1970s New York, and it feels so authentic, just like The Wire. The AIDS crisis also features very heavily in The Deuce. It's about the birth of the pornography industry and the gentrification of Times Square in New York, and it's set over a bunch of maybe 2 decades. It has a really cheesy ending, I think, which doesn't do it justice, but it's absolutely well worked, and it's the type of quality writing that you'd expect from David Simon too. But absolutely, if you haven't seen It's a Sin, make it your weekend viewing this week. I think that's totally fair. Do it first before you do Fleabag. That would be mine.
All of it's up on all 4 actually, because I think the last episode is only on TV on the 19th of February.
Right.
So but you can get all the episodes now.
And all 4 is available on the Sky platform as well. That's it from our TV review this week. Nothing else?
No, that's everything. I'll bring you more next week.